Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Courageous Conversations. Today is an exciting day.
Yeah.
We have an alum in the house. We got Warren Thornton in the house all the way from Dallas, Texas, from Hope, Arkansas. Obviously, we're going to let Warren tell you a little bit about himself, and then we'll get this thing started. Warren, who are you, man?
Yeah. Hey everybody out there. Thank you for the invite, Doctor.
Yeah.
Warren Thornton, born and raised here in Hope, Arkansas. Grew up in Green Acres, which is right down the street.
Okay.
Parents of, my parents are Kenneth and Inell Thornton. Been here all their life as well. A little bit about myself. Graduated from Prairie View A&M University with a bachelor's degree in business management. And then also have my master's degree from Syracuse University. Got that in 2019 with a master's MBA in marketing. Lived in Dallas since 2012.
Okay.
Right now, I work for the Hilti Company, a construction company that we do direct sales to construction sites. But before that, I worked for the Boeing Company as a business analyst and an estimating pricing specialist. I did 2 years in Philadelphia, and then came down and worked at the Richardson site as well before I made the transition over to Hilti.
So I love everything you said, right? So you moved around a little bit. You've
Yeah.
seen different contexts. You've seen different systems. Got great parents, obviously, who raised you in the right way. You can talk about that a little bit if you want to as well. But talk about Hope as a system, as an educational system. So, knowing, being out in the world, how did Hope prepare you or not prepare you for what you faced out in the real world?
Well, it was Hope is, to me, is a family town, not too big, not too small. And when I was growing up in the neighborhood, we had like a village mentality to where everybody looked out for each other and everybody looked out for each other's kids. So, from Mrs. Woods to Mr. and Mrs. Neal. So those are a few neighbors that just kind of come off the top of my head. Those people kind of shaped me, along with my parents raising me in this good environment. Small town, but it's a family town to where family is important. Kind of molds you and get you ready and prepared for the afterlife when you graduate from high school, moving into college or to a trade school or to the military, whatever you choose to do after you graduate high school. But it prepared me, gave me a solid foundation. My family was good of loving me for who I am and letting me know that anything is possible. But of course, you have to have the work ethic, of course.
That's right.
So that's kind of what Hope kind of put me on that trampoline to move forward. I always been the son out of the four, because it's four boys. But I always was the one who was the adventurous son.
Had to get out. Go somewhere. So I made the decision to go down to Houston at Prairie View. Didn't know anybody. It was just me that I knew, of course. But always having that mindset of trying something different and learning something different is always good because with that comes growth. So, I agree.
I love that.
So a big vision that we have here is to have, in the next 5 years, every kid graduate high school with either an associate's degree, college hours, or a skilled trade certificate to be ready for that next step once they graduate high school. In addition to that, we're starting a foundation to be able to give actual money to students who are going into that next step after they graduate. Talk a little bit about that readiness piece from the high school level. So when you left Hope High School, did you feel like you were ready for Prairie View? Did you feel like you could walk into any classroom there and hang with the rest of the kids?
Yes. So I was ready and prepared, but a lot of it comes from the upbringing and also getting the help. So I love what you just pointed out there when it comes to not only your associate's degree in college, but your last point there, I really love trade school because everybody is different.
That's right.
And we have to start being honest. Even though I got my master's and my bachelor's, but I also can understand that college is not for everybody. Sometimes going to trade school is good, or if you want to go to the military in every country, that's good as well. But you have to fit that niche for you and that student. So I love that you mentioned that because everybody's not the same. So understanding that bigger picture and understanding that some people may go in different career paths, but we all can be successful in our own lane if we choose to do that instead of trying to put everybody in this one box.
So who were you when you were graduating high school?
I was
What did you want to do?
The college kid.
Yeah.
So that was me going out to college, want to do the 4-year university and try it out and do something different. Because I experienced it a little bit with my brother hanging out, because I always hang out with my older brother a lot. And he used to come back and tell me the stories about college is fun, kind of on your own, but at the same time, you have to take care of your business. Yeah. So when you do graduate, you can be prepared to get yourself a career and provide for yourself and your family.
That's right.
So that was me and my friends. We always used to talk about college, but also I had colleagues, classmates in Hope who went to the military, or some went into the trade school. So it all depends.
Yeah.
It's all different, and understanding that is very, very important.
So I think what you said is so important about seeing it first. You saw it with your brother.
Yeah.
You saw it with other community members who had done it before you. Talk about hope as a community. So what do you think we need as a community to help support our schools, or what role do you think the school system plays in the community?
I think the biggest thing that they play in the community is understanding that everybody is different and not kind of putting that square peg in the round hole. I know that's kind of a cliche statement, but understanding that.
Sure.
And that's one thing that I can say that I felt growing up is there was a sense of community and everybody looked out for each other. I think getting back to that is very important because a lot of times these kids, from talking to kids when I do community work, even in Dallas, and we even used to do community work back here in 2012, a lot of kids feel like there's no connection between some older adults and them. I know it's two different generations. It's going to be a difference, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
But also understanding giving these kids a kind of a voice as well, because their mindset is different.
Yeah.
And we have to be honest with that and approach that in that way, because I would say my parents' generation is a little bit more like an oven. They understand it's a process and things takes time. But
it's microwave now.
This generation
it's all
now,
microwave.
It's all microwavable. And understanding that context and coming in with an understanding mindset and a caring mindset will kind of bridge that gap, because right now it's a big gap and everybody want to fuss at each other, but nobody's really trying to come to the table and talk.
So you have family members here, obviously. I'm sure you still have friends here as well. What do you want to be true for Hope Public Schools in the future?
I want us to get back to that caring factor. Really trying to reach every child and let them know that they're important. And understand that we should pour into them regardless of their background or regardless of their race or whatever diverse things that they may come from. Understanding that they still can be reached. You just got to reach them with the right approach. Because everybody is different.
That's right.
Like with football coaches, I mean, of course I love football. Sometimes their approach to different players is different.
That's right.
Some people you can kind of just be rah-rah with because they understand it. And some players you might kind of have to just bring them along slowly.
That's true.
But a good coach, in my personal opinion, understands that about his team and his players. And then once that coach understands that coach will get the best out of their team as a result of that.
So as a system, we have to be all means all.
All means all, yes.
And we have to support our students on different levels, whatever level they're on.
And also bring in some factors the kids can do outside of school. Because when we used to talk to the kids, and I talk to friends that are still here, it's nothing for the kids to do. And of course, the old saying, especially growing up as a country boy going to church, idle mind is the devil's playground. So you have to have some type of interesting factor that the kids can do to where they can just release and be themselves. Because as you said, this is a microwave generation, and also kids are not going outside playing like
it's different.
Yeah. So. And I don't want to be the old guy saying get off my lawn, but it like you said, it's different.
Hey, the older you get, I'm with you. We're generally in the same age bracket. I'm like, man, I feel old with some of the things I'm thinking.
You got to really understand that facet of life is these kids, their upbringing is different, even with the whole social media thing. So I can be honest and say if I was young with social media, I would probably be doing some of the things that the kids are doing now. So just kind of leave it at a free judgment zone and bring up activities outside of school that they can get into that's productive. And sometimes they have to be just a fun activity. Nothing is about, it shouldn't be nothing where you're trying to learn from it. It's just let them have fun at it and play.
I agree. So we're expanding our options for next year. We got a $15 million magnet grant. And part of that is going to be expanding extracurriculars and electives at the high school level, but also at the middle school and elementary level. So band, performing arts, theater, broadcast journalism, robotics. These are all things we're going to build upon and grow. Because I agree with you. Students are, when they're more engaged, they stay in school. They achieve. They go to the next step. I love the stat on extracurriculars. It's not just football, just all sports.
All sports,
they're at the graduation rate is 92%. I mean, that's
you hitting it on the money.
Right let's get kids involved in something outside of just the regular math classroom, the regular English classroom, so they'll want to stay. So talk about your teacher role models.
Mm-hmm.
So now, now's the time to give a great shout out. Besides your parents, you can talk about your parents if you want to, but who really showed the way for you as educator?
I know one of my favorite teachers was Mrs. Rafford.
Okay.
I loved her to death. She always had a great smile coming in to her classroom. She was my second grade teacher. Also, Miss Murphy, who was my third grade teacher.
Is Cynthia Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
I just met her the other day. She is a light.
Yeah, so Miss Murphy, Mrs. Rafford, Coach Turner, in my latter years at Hope High.
Sure.
So those, they were great teachers. Even Coach Hogan, always I can count on, need good advice from them. I always had that approach to where it is talkable. They are reachable to come talk to them. Because, sometimes some of those can be a little funny. Standoffish, yeah, and they don't want to reach out and talk. But those teachers are always willing, always greeted me with a smile.
Yeah, but we're in the kid business.
Yeah.
K-12 education, we're in the kid business. We have to be about relationship.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're ready to give a sermon on that already. So talk about it a little bit. What role does relationship play in this whole thing?
It's very important, especially in today's world where everybody is close, but they're not close.
What do you mean by that?
So they're close by social media. We're all friends and everything.
The world is smaller than it's ever been.
Yep. The world is smaller than it's ever been, but we're not close because we're not having these conversations. We're face to face, where we're not on our phones. We're really having real conversations to where we're seeing each perspective and each side from everybody, but at the same time, we're listening. And not listening to reply, but listening to understand. So those relationships are very, very important. And piggyback to my previous point, and that's one thing that young kids always tell me, is they feel that there's nobody they can go to talk to. So they kind of shelter off, they shelter away, and they may be shy, they may be a little reserved because there's no relationships there. Growing up, like I said, with my parents and neighbor I grew up with, it was nothing for Mr. and Mrs. Neal to say, hey, Warren, stop. Because we had those relationships, and I knew that was Mr. and Mrs. Neal. I didn't call them by their first name. It was their respect factor because there's a relationship there. And sometimes with kids and how things are going nowadays, a kid may be disrespectful, and they should never be that. They should never be disrespectful to their elders and the adults in the room. And however, you also got to see if these kids don't understand that respect factor because there's no relationship there. So they feel like they're all alone.
So I'm hearing a lot of great themes going from this conversation. So I'm going to ask you kind of a weird question. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Who are you? so what are your values that you cling to? So I won't leave you on the ledge. I'll go first. So for me, I can always revert back to faith, perseverance, and vision. Like my faith in God is number one. That's why I'm even in K-12 education. I believe all kids deserve an opportunity to be successful because I was that kid that struggled at one point and needed somebody to help me. I got perseverance. I'm just going to fight through regardless. I believe that I got a little bit of a hard head when it comes to getting things done. And I do believe I can see things that aren't quite yet real in the world, and I work with that perseverance to try to make it happen. There's other things about me too, but I think that kind of boils me down pretty easily in the three kind of core values. What are yours? If you had to think about it, what essentially makes you you?
What makes me me? Family. I'm big on family. Love family get-togethers. Because my family's big on both sides. My daddy is the youngest out of 10.
Oh man!
And my mom is the youngest out of 6. So big on family. I would. It's not a word, but I'm gonna make it a word. I'm a go-getter.
Yeah. Love that.
I can see a task, adapt to it, and go get it. And I will get that task accomplished, regardless of the situation. And I'm fearless. I don't mind failing. To me, it's a part of life. I don't look at losses as losses. I turn them around and look at them as lessons learned.
I love it.
So you have to kind of learn because, like you said, we're not perfect.
No way.
No way. Not even close. So you have to make mistakes and learn from it, and then adjust from those mistakes that you failed from, and then move forward and push forward. So those are kind of my three that I kind of say that's who I am.
So I was listening to a sermon the other day, and the pastor said, you know what your reward is for answering the first test God gives you? Your second test.
Yeah.
Life's a continual journey.
Yeah,
and it's you move from faith to faith in that journey. That's why I love the word you said. I will wrap it up, getting close to the end here. Give hope, give the community, give some of your friends that you grew up with, your family members, some parting words.
To everybody who's watching, first off, I love you. We all are Hope alums, so let's get back to coming back and giving back. Let's get back to showing these kids that they are somebody. We can pour into them. Sometimes it's not about money. It's just about your time and your resources. And we all can play a part in it in giving time and sacrificing time and resources. So let's get to it. Let's make this community great again. And let's restore it in a positive way. Signing off.
I could not have asked for a better send-off. Warren, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Another episode of Courageous Conversations. I'm proud of this guy. Good job,
you,
man. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.